So today we're going to take a look at a really fascinating communication strategy. And what's interesting is it's not aimed at the general public. It's for a very specific, often invisible group of people. It's a story about changing the goal from just getting legal status to actually building a real, sustainable future.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. To really get what they're trying to do, first we've got to understand the problem they're laying out. We need to kind of step into the shoes of an undocumented person, at least as it's described in the source material.
It all starts right here, not with some big political debate or policy paper, but with the simple, harsh reality of one day, a day that begins long before most people are even thinking about getting up.
And why are they up so early? For some really grueling work. We're talking construction, and for just €6 an hour, paid in cash. This is more than just a low-paying job. This is work that's completely off the books.
And this right here, this is what's really key. No contract means you have zero rights. No legal options if things go wrong. No safety net if you get hurt on the job. You are, for all intents and purposes, completely on your own.
And you can see how this one precarious situation just spirals into every other part of your life. I mean, what if your boss just decides not to pay you? Who are you going to call? Not the police. And trying to find a place to live? Good luck. Most landlords aren't going to rent to someone without papers. So you end up in these unstable, really overcrowded living situations.
But then, everything changes. A huge window of opportunity suddenly opens up, and it offers a possible way out of this life in the shadows. A real glimmer of hope.
500,000. Let that number sink in for a second. That's the potential number of people in Spain who could get their status regularized and become legal residents. That is a massive, life-changing number.
But, when something sounds that big, that good, it's natural to be skeptical. And the source material just nails this feeling. When you're used to living with risk and fear all the time, hope itself can feel like a dangerous thing. Like it might be just another trap. Okay, so this is where we get to the absolute heart of the strategy. The argument is that just celebrating getting your legal papers is, well, it's a bit too soon. Because getting the papers isn't the finish line. Nope, it's actually the start of a whole new race. And this right here is the million-dollar question they pose. It completely reframes the problem. It makes you think past that initial victory and ask, okay, what's the reality the day after I get these papers?
This lays out the big switch in thinking, plain and simple. Everyone thinks the goal is getting the documents, but the real challenge, the thing that's actually going to shape your future, is turning those papers into a legal job with a real paycheck.
So imagine this. The moment you become legal, bam, a whole new set of problems just drops in your lap. You finally have the right to work, but you don't have a job. You have zero professional connections in the formal economy. And oh yeah, you are suddenly competing with hundreds of thousands of other people who are in the exact same boat. So you've got this next great challenge. What's the answer? Well, the source material introduces this pretty clever preemptive strategy, all wrapped up in a service they call LeedTech.
The whole idea behind LeedTech is getting ahead of the problem. It's about tackling the unemployment issue before it even starts. The goal is to build a bridge between these workers and potential employers way ahead of time. And here's how they pitch it, step by step. You register your skills, your work history, right now while you're still in that waiting period. Why? To get a huge head start. To basically put yourself at the front of the line. That way, when your legal status does change, you're not starting from scratch. You're already in the system, ready to go. And this is maybe the most important part of their pitch. Their message is crystal clear. This is not an immigration service. They're not in the business of getting you papers. They're in the business of getting you a job after you have those papers. It's a really sharp, really focused promise. So what does this all lead to? What does that promised future actually look like for someone who buys into this preemptive strategy? And this quote just paints the perfect picture of the ultimate payoff. The day you finally get your papers isn't a day of panic, of asking, what do I do now? It's a day of action. All that scrambling and uncertainty is gone, replaced by actual, concrete opportunities. Interviews that are already lined up and waiting for you.
You see? This brings everything right back to the beginning. This promised future is a direct solution to all those problems we saw earlier. That cash-in-hand job, it's replaced by a legal contract. Exploitation, replaced by fair wages and a safe place to work. And maybe most importantly, that personal stability means a better future for your kids.
And that's what this all boils down to, really. This whole case study points to a much bigger question. Is real integration less about legal documents and more about economic empowerment? Is preparing people for the job market before they're even legal the next big step we need to think about? It's a powerful idea. But, it also brings up some tricky questions, like, what happens to the data in the hopes of all those people if that legalization doesn't happen? How do you make sure the system really works for the worker, not just the employer? It suggests a major shift in how we think about this, and it's definitely something worth chewing on.